Why commit to a local church? Is it really that important? Does God require of me to commit? And if God really wants me to commit, then what church should I commit to? And most importantly, what should I be doing at church? If you are interested in finding the correct biblical answers to all of these questions, then today we will be reviewing Life in the Father's House, which will help you answer these questions from a biblical perspective so that you can glorify God at church. So stay tuned. Good day and welcome to Books of the Wise, where we review and walk you through the books of sound Christian authors so that you may learn from their wisdom and grow in your faith. And like I said, today we will be reviewing Life in the Father's House. But before we dive into this book, let me remind you to check out the description box below and our website for more book reviews and discount codes if you are interested in purchasing this book or other books for yourself. Let's dive in. First, let's meet the author. Dr. Wayne Mack has training at Wheaton College, Westminster Theological Seminary, La Salle University, Eastern Baptist Seminary, Wheaton Graduate School, and Trinity Evangelical School. So therefore, clearly, he has a lot of training behind his name. Also, he was the chairman of the graduate and undergraduate counseling programs at the Masters University, which really has a very high standard for training our pastors. And currently he serves as an elder at Linwood Baptist Church in Pretoria, South Africa, and is the director of ACBC Africa. He has authored 27 books on biblical counseling issues and has been married since 1957, has 4 adult children and many grandchildren. The co-author and less known Dave Swavely was the founding pastor of Faith Church in California and also planted a church in Philadelphia and authored 4 books himself. What do others have to say? Many faithful pastors and counselors highly recommend this book. Just to quote 2 of them, Pastor Lance Quinn said, "Simply the best book to give new members, indeed new Christians in general, as they seek to understand how to live and to love the Lord and others in the church." South African missionary Tim Cantrell said, quote, "When I arrived at our church, this was the first book I asked every elder and deacon to read. Now we are asking every prospective member to read this book. It is taking our whole church to a new level of commitment. I know of no other tool that gives such a great summary of what God expects of us in the local church." The main point of this book is that Christians should commit fully and wholeheartedly to a local church. And this is in contrast to what the world is teaching. For example, George Barna said, "Scripture teaches us that devoting your life to loving God with all your heart, mind, strength, and soul is what honors Him. Being part of a local church may facilitate that, or it might not. I am not called to attend or join a local church." So clearly there, the world is not emphasizing the importance of the local church. But this book emphasizes it and says it's very important and gives 4 qualifications. It says we should commit to a local church fully. First of all, not to be saved, but because we are saved. Ephesians 2 verse 8 and 9. Secondly, not to be loved by God, but because He already loves us. Thirdly, not to be accepted or esteemed by others, but to be pleasing to God. Mark 6 verse 1 to 6. And fourthly, not to be served primarily, but to serve others in the name of Christ. Mark 10 verse 45. And then basically the rest of the book elaborates on this point, but also on the question that expands from that is, namely, which church should the believer commit to and how should the believer serve God and others there effectively. Some of the key takeaways of the book: a church is not a building or denomination, but a group of worshippers. For example, page 12, I'm quoting, it says, "This is important to understand because the quality of a church is therefore not measured by the condition of its building or the appeal of its services, but by the state of the people themselves. They are the church, so the church is only as good as they are." And then also, another very helpful thing and pithy way of saying it, he said, don't say yes to a no church. So there are clearly churches that God does not tell you to go to. So be very careful in the selection of your church. But then when you found the church that God approves of according to biblical standards, commit fully. And then a final takeaway, he said that a church service is primarily a worship service. And therefore, everything that takes place in church must be done as an act of worship towards God. The singing, the preaching, the giving of the ordinances, the fellowship, the prayer, everything that happens on a Sunday at a church service should be done with a motive of worshiping God, because a church service is a worship service. Some of the critique of the book, and this is really given so you may also learn from its strength and its weaknesses, so you may grow thereby. The good parts are, well, I believe every major teaching of the book is sound according to biblical teaching, and I agree with it. There is a good balance in the book between scripture exposition and scripture application. The writing style is concise, yet covers the topics it addresses. So I really believe that it's because of these guys' many years of writing experience, and it's not the first book that they wrote. He also does not compromise on the roles of men and women in the local church. So these days, so many, even Christian writers, compromises on that. But he really stated clearly that men and women have different roles in the church. Men should lead, and women have a different role, but also to serve and commit, but not as in a leadership type of a role. So I really respect him very highly for holding to this biblical stance. Now, the bad part of the book, and this is our perspective, is mostly did everything good, but I just think that the title of the book is not such a good title, Life in the Father's House. I think someone who don't know what the book is about, and maybe someone who's not a Christian or a new Christian doesn't really know what the book is about, Life in the Father's House. So I don't think the title is so clear, and so what does it mean? So I for long thought, maybe it's about heaven. Didn't really know what it's about until I picked it up and started reading it. So I just think that's really my only critique, that they could have improved the title, made it a little bit more clearer. But we would really like to know what you have to think. So please type in your comments on the book and even about this video in the description box below, in the comment sections. We would really, really appreciate that. And I think other viewers would also appreciate that. We recommend this book, just like all those faithful pastors that I mentioned in the beginning. We really recommend this book to every Christian, especially since church forms such a vital part of the Christian life. And even if you, for example, have a different view on baptism or eschatology, this book doesn't go into those nitty-gritty details. It's really written for all Christians to commit to the church and serve God more fully there. If you found this video beneficial, then remember to like and subscribe. And we also made another video for you where we walk you through the book, summarizing each chapter. And we'll put the link right over here. And also see the description box below, or a website if you want to buy the book at a discount or see other resources. And if you are wondering how you can glorify God through everyday things like washing the dishes, then we reviewed another book for you on that topic, and we placed the link for you over here. Thank you for watching. God bless.